All right, Bob Steven here. I'm talking about my first chemotherapy. I'm going to do this in three sections. I'm going to do the prep to going to the chemo site, and then I'll show a video of us driving there. Second portion is I'm going to do a video, or in this video, I will do a description of what happened while I was having chemotherapy, all positive. And the third section is the after effects, side effects of what happened to me when I got home from chemotherapy. And I'll show a video of me waiting for my wife to pick me up at the doctor's office and how I felt at that time. So the prep basically started the night before. I was trying to get a good night's rest, went to bed. I'm a late riser, so I don't like to get up before 9 a.m. But because my chemotherapy started at 8:30 and I had a regimen of pills I had to take prior to chemo, I went to bed at about midnight. I felt well for 3 hours and a bit of anxiety. I couldn't sleep at 3 in the morning. Had a glass of milk. I often will wear a mask over my eyes to filter out the lights. So I put that back on and I slept till about, I'd say 6:30, maybe, yeah, about 6:30 in the morning when I took my first medication, which was for my thyroid on an empty stomach. And then took a shower. 45 minutes later, I then took my antacid medication that was prescribed by the doctor. And then my wife reminded me I'm supposed to eat something before chemotherapy. So I had a bit of yogurt and a kind bar, which I usually don't eat either of those for a couple of reasons, but the kind bar mostly because of I'm a type 2 diabetic and it spikes my sugar. And yes, my sugar's high during this transition into chemotherapy. And then we drove to the hospital or to the doctor's office, and I'll start that video now.
All right, Bob Steven here. I'm heading to my first chemotherapy. A little anxious. Got my beautiful wife driving. It'll only take me a few minutes to get there. And interesting, I'm supposed to take some medications on an empty stomach, and then I'm supposed to eat before my chemotherapy. So I had to prep a couple hours before my 8:30 chemotherapy meeting, and we were just reviewing some meditation techniques, and so I'll be using that as I go through this. Little apprehensive about what may be the side effects of chemotherapy, but we shall see. So I'll keep you posted. This video will go on and off kind of all day. I'm not sure if I can actually record in the area that I'm having the chemotherapy, but we'll see. Talk to you soon.
All right, let me describe what happened while I was in the doctor's office. It was a very pleasant area. They asked me to pick a chair. I picked it, the one that I felt most comfortable with. It was a recliner, a mechanical recliner, so I could push a button and recline and get back up, and it was very, very comfortable. I was not allowed to videotape or take cameras inside, although I was able to have my phone. I did bring my Bose headset, which you see here, which is sound canceling, so I couldn't hear anybody else. And I put on some wonderful Latin music, and I'll put that music down in the chat. And I listened to it, and it was very soothing, and I know I fell asleep because I woke myself up slightly snoring a couple times. So because I don't have a port in yet, I'll have a port put in 2 weeks. They had to do it intravenously, and I have really strong veins, but I also have very thick skin. And they tried twice in my left arm, so I could be mobile, right? I could pick up my phone and all that kind of stuff. And eventually they just went to my vein at the upper part of the right elbow, which is where they always do blood draws and things like that. And that one went in fine and taped it down, and I just kind of had to keep that arm straight for the 2.5 hours I was there. But very, very attentive nurses, explained everything really, really well. I had 4 medications. So the first 15 minutes I had Decadron and Kytril intravenous for 15 minutes, and then the alarm went off, and then they switched the bag to Taxotere, and that was an hour, 45 minutes to an hour of injection, and then they looked at me and they said, "How you feel?" And I go, "I feel fine, although I do feel a little flushed." And he looked at me and says, "Yeah, your face is a little red." So they very, very, very kindly gave me another 15 minutes of a saline flush, and I felt very, very good at the end of that. They pulled out the IV, got me situated, but then they placed on my left arm the pegfilgrastim, whatever. I'm not sure. I'm sure I'm not saying it right, but it's basically this, if you can see it, and it's in my left arm, if you can see it there. And basically, what it's going to do is 26 hours after chemotherapy, they want to help the white blood cell count. So this will automatically inject the medication into my bloodstream on my, from my left arm, and then an hour later it'll beep, and I can then remove the device. And so that was done, and I texted my wife, and she came to pick me up. And then this next video is me sitting outside the doctor's building and waiting for my wife to.
So, Bob, Steven, I just finished my first chemotherapy. I don't feel any different. Nurses were very good. They had to, find a vein, and they took 3 tries to find one, but it was comfortable. I was there for 2 hours, and put in some anti-nausea, some saline, and then the chemo, and then they salined again because it was a little flush at the end. I feel good. I don't feel too bad. We'll see how it goes tomorrow. I have this device in my arm that's going to inject some medication for my white blood cell count to be better, and I'll just keep you guys all posted on this. There we go. Thanks.
Okay, so I got home, and frankly, I feel fine. I felt myself. I don't feel too bad. But I did feel a little bit of drowsiness from medication, right? I just felt tired. So in typical Bob style, I always try to take care of myself whenever I feel tired. So I lay down for a nap, which I think was 3.5 hours, but the reality of it is probably 4. And so, 4 hours taking a nap, I felt pretty good. My wife reminded me at the end of that, have you been drinking? And I had a little bit, but not a lot. So I started to drink my, I like to drink probably about 18 ounces of electrolyte every day. So I'm drinking my electrolyte. And by the way, I took that with me and drank it while I was having my chemotherapy, which is totally acceptable. They want to keep you hydrated. And so I drank that. And then my wife had bought me a Father's Day gift of cookies, and I had a single cookie, and I didn't feel bad about that. I also ate a vegetable medley, which is, corn, peas, carrots. I think there's something else, onions, I think, in there, and I got that down just fine, no side effects. And then I cooked myself 3 eggs, put a little cheese on it with some salsa, and I got that down, and I'm fine. I'm about an hour and a half past that. And then I had another one of the cookies, and I'm drinking a lot of water. And at this point in time, which is 5 p.m., several hours past the chemo, I feel relatively normal. Now, they did pump me full of some good medications during the chemotherapy, so I should return and report what happens tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Stay in touch. I'd love to hear how your journey is going. Talk to me when you can.